Children, in history, sources are there. I told earlier, two sources are there in history. One is literary sources and archaeological sources. Keep in your mind, children, one who constructs the history is an historian. I hope you're understanding. One more time I am repeating this word. One who writes the history is not called as a historian. I hope you keep in your mind. I hope you are watching. One who writes the history is not called historian. One who constructs the history is called historian. They should use the historical evidence. Their evidence should be authentic. What historians are using the evidence, these evidence must be authentic. Authentic means true about the history. So people should be believed. There cannot be history without sources. There cannot be history without evidence, without clarity, without sources. Then which are the sources of history? The sources of history can be classified into the two parts. One is literary sources. Second one is archaeological sources. Literary sources, it is literature. Literature means written documents or oral sources. There are two kinds. One is written literature. Next one is oral literature. There are two kinds in literary sources. Keep in our mind. There are two kinds in literary sources. One is written literature. Next one is oral literature. Written literature means the literature has been written by writers, particular writers. This is called written literature. Next one, oral literature means the literature as told by someone. Oral literature means the literature has told by someone. This is called oral literature. Written literature, we can be classified into the two parts. One is native literature. Next one is foreign literature. Native literature means what? The literature has been written by Indians is called native literature. Native literature means the literature has been written by local people. Local people is called written literature. Foreign literature means the literature has been written by outsiders, foreigners. Many European scholars, Chinese scholars, the scholars from the Arabia, they have written the history on India, not their own country. They have written the history on India. I will discuss when it is required. And oral literature, which comprises a folk song. Children, folk songs are very famous in rural parts of India. Folk songs are there. They may be in Kannada language, Telugu language, Lambadi language, Marathi language. Folk songs, we call in Kannada Janapada. And stories. Next, ballads. Ballads means they are also one kind of, the ballad means it is also one kind of poem. Myths and legends. Myths means Purana, Upanishad. These are all called myths. Written literature is constructed by literate people, means educated people. Literate means one who got education. Written literature has constructed by literates. But oral literature is not created by literates. Oral literature means ballads, folk songs, stories. Oral literature has created by or constructed by illiterates, means those people have not got proper education, they are called illiterates. Illiterates means they have not got a proper education, but they have very much experienced about their life. That's why they created beautiful ballads, folk songs, stories and myths and legends. So This is about the literary sources. Next one, very important, is archaeological sources. Archaeological source. The archaeological sources means the physical buildings, physical remains. Remains means building structures or ruins. The things which is constructed structures in the past time, means many centuries ago, many years ago. The building, for example, Gol Gumbaz is the best example in Bijapur. Ibrahim Raza is the best example in Bijapur. Many cave temples are best example in Badami. Many remains buildings, old buildings are best example in Hampi. The remains that have been buried in the earth or removed through the excavation. Excavation means very important. Excavation means digging operation in the land, means the land is digging by excavation means digging the land. So remains have been buried in the earth. Those remains have been removed by the through the excavation. The historical evidence included coins, inscriptions, monuments, piece of the pot and artifact. I will show one by one through the picture. Children, these are all literary sources. These are all literary sources. The literature has been written by writer. Literary sources, we can see Ramayana, Mahabharata, Vedas and some Sanskrit scripture and the scripture of ancient Greek. So these are all literary sources. Literary sources. Children, this picture tells about the oral history or oral sources. The history has told by someone. History has told by someone, not by history has not written by someone. History has told by someone. This is oral sources. Two sources are there. One is written sources. Next one is oral sources. Children, I told the archaeological sources. There are three kinds of the archaeological sources. One is monuments, inscription. Second one is inscription. Third one is coins. Are you watching these monuments? First one, the Brihadeshwara temple. This temple, the Brihadeshwara temple, it comes in Tanjavuru. This is the old monument. Next one is Sun temple at Konark in Orissa. This temple had been constructed the 15th century. This is a remain in Hampi, old stone chariots, and everyone knows this one, Taj Mahal. And this is old church. This church was constructed during the time of Portuguese when they were ruling in Kerala. So these are all monuments. Monuments means old structures, old buildings. Children, these are all inscriptions. Inscriptions are nothing but writing on the wall or writing on the stone. Writings on the wall or writings on the stone are called inscription. Children, in early days, people were writing their information or details on the stones or wall. Why they were writing on the stones or wall? That time they were not using mobile phone, they were not using pen, they were not using the paper. So that's why their information, their details should be understood by future generation. So that's why they were writing the records, they were writing the information on the wall, on the stone. So these are all inscription. Inscriptions are very best to search, to invent the important in history. Next one, coins. Children, coins have been changed according to the time, according to the age. Many coins are there in before your picture. The coins have been changed according to the time or according to the age. So in 13th century, people were using different coin. In 14th century, people were using different coin. Today, we are also using the different coin. So coins are also important sources for history. Children, what you are watching this one? The sources of history, the chart of the sources of history. I told earlier, but diagram is very important. So I will give explanation according to the diagram. First one, sources of the history. I told you earlier, literary sources. Literary sources can be classified into the two parts: written literature, oral literature, and archaeological sources also classified into the four kinds: monument, coins, inscription, and other archaeological remains. First one, written literature. Written literature means the literature has been written by particular writer. Native literature. There are two kinds in written literature. Native literature. Native literature means the literature has been written by local people or Indians. And foreign literature means the literature has been written by foreigners. This is a picture about Kalidasa. Kalidasa, he wrote many Sanskrit books like Abhidhana Shakuntala, Rutu Samhara, and many books he has written. And foreign literature, this is a picture. This is a picture of Huyen Tsang. Keep in your mind, this is a picture of Huyen Tsang. Huyen Tsang was a Buddhist monk. He was a scholar from China. He was scholar of China. He visited India and he visited Nalanda University also. Nalanda University was very famous. I will explain about Nalanda University when it is required. And he studied about Buddhist literature especially. That's why he came to India and he wrote C.Q. Key, one book in Chinese language. C.Q. Key. This book has given the information about the India and eastern countries of the world. So these are all foreign literature. These are all foreign native literature and foreign literature. Next, oral literature. Oral literature we can be classified into the three parts. Lavanis. Lavanis are very famous in rural parts of the India. Folk tales and historical legends. Lavanis, folk tales. Folk tale means I told you earlier, Janapada. Janapada Kathegolu in Kannada. Historical legendary means what? Historical legendary means this is a picture about a Karaga festival in Bengaluru. This Karaga festival has been celebrated since so many years. So, it is a historical legendary. Next, this is about historical literary sources. Next one, archaeological sources. Monuments. I told you earlier, I have shown many monuments. Monuments means old structure, old building. This building is a Sanchi Stupa at Madhya Pradesh. Sanchi Stupa at Madhya Pradesh. This building. This is one of the oldest monument. This monument was constructed during the time of Maurya Empire. And coins, I told you earlier, coins have been changed according to the time, according to the age. Many ages coins are there here. Coins are best sources to search the particular kingdom, particular state. And inscription. Inscription means nothing but the writing documents or writing on the wall or writing on the stone. This is about inscription. Next one is other archaeological remains. So they have given an example of the stone chariot of Hampi. So this is about the sources of the history, chart of the sources of the history.